Hello and welcome back to the homestead where I'm just showing you life on our side of the mountain. I just made a bunch of these organic soy clean scented candles for our online bazaar, and now I'm going to show you how I make them. So let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to be making our clean scented organic soy candles. I make our candles in small batches of 3. They're all hand poured. I make them start to finish, and I'll show you how I do that. First, I'm going to get this organic soy wax melting on the stove. I have a pot of boiling water here, and I'm going to put my wax into this container. I'm going to measure out a pound and get it in the water, because that definitely takes the longest to get melted down. As I mentioned, I use clean scents in these. They're California approved. I get my scents from Candle Science. I highly recommend Candle Science if you're making anything from candles to soaps or anything with fragrances. They have a lot of clean fragrances where they don't have a bunch of chemicals and all the weird stuff. I've been super happy with the variety of scents that they have, and they've worked out great. So I have a pound of wax right here, and I'm going to get this in the water so that way it can melt down. When that is melting, I'm going to go ahead and mix my scent. I don't like to use just one scent. I like to have at least 2 so that way I can make my own blend. It's just a little more fun that way. So I'm going to mix this. I have a ratio that I always use. So I'm going to mix this real quick while that wax is while that wax is melting. And I just use a little cutoff of a wick to stir this around, make sure it's all mixed up. Perfect. That's that. I'm making our Lost in the Woods candles. It's like a nice foresty smell. And we make all the labels ourselves. We hand print them in our screen printing shop. Adam designs the labels with his artwork. They're super cool. Let me grab one. Here is that hand printed label that Adam designed. And every candle is actually sold with an artist print of the label that's signed and numbered by Adam. But that's just another fun creative touch that we like to add to our goods. Okay, next I have to attach the wicks to the jars that we use. So I'm going to grab the wicks and plug in my hot glue. Okay, now I'm going to attach these wicks to the jars. If you're making candles, make sure you're looking up what size wicks you need for the jar size. The diameter of the jar you're using definitely makes a difference with what wick you need, and also the wax that you're using. So just make sure you're using the correct wick when you're doing this. It'd be a bummer if you did all this work and the candle didn't burn right. So just look it up. Okay, I have my hot glue tool, and all I'm going to do is just fill the spot under the wick, this little metal part, and get it as close to center as I can, and just press down. Just like that. And now do the other ones. All right, all of my wicks are glued in. Now I have these little popsicle sticks that I drilled holes in the middle. That can hold the wick, that holds the wick in place. And then I just use clothespins to clip it on top, like so. So that way the wick stays very straight and there's no like give to it. You want to make sure your wick isn't moving around. Definitely after you pour the wax in there, you want to make sure it's secured. All right, now we wait. Once the wax is melted down, I'm going to pop this thermometer in there. When the soy wax gets to 180 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm going to add the fragrance and then start stirring. But I'll get there. I'm just waiting for this wax to fully melt. So I'll see you in a minute. All right, so the wax is melted and I'm gonna add this thermometer. I'm gonna wait till it gets to about 200 and then I'll pull it out of the water, let it cool down to about 180, and that's when I'll add my scents. And I'll start stirring that together for about 2 or 3 minutes and then let it cool again to 135 before I start pouring it into my containers. So I'm gonna get this in here, wait till it hits 200, and then we'll go through all those steps. All right, the wax is melted and it's up to around 200. So I'm gonna pull it out and just put it right here and watch it cool down. All right, and now it's gonna just sit here until it drops to 180, and I'll stir in the scents. Super simple. And this is really fun. We made the bazaar because we just like making things. So the bazaar is our second business, but it's been really fun to just expand. And we started offering the things that we actually use. So I was making these candles for ourselves because I love candles, but a lot of them give me headaches. And so I researched clean scents and how to like have a nice smelling candle the cleanest way possible. And that's how I came up with this. So yeah, I started making candles probably 2 or 3 years ago and just started offering them at the bazaar maybe like 1.5 years ago. So I had some time to really figure out what worked and what didn't, test out the scents and the different blends. And this is what I came up with. So it's been fun and it's super cool to show more people. If you want to get into candle making, I highly, highly suggest it. It's a fun, relaxing hobby and super rewarding. So why not? Oh, this is gonna cool down to 180 and then I'll see you then. Ooh, all right guys, we are right at 180. So I'm gonna take this out, but you'll need it again, so keep it close. Take that out, add my fragrance, my scent blend, and then I just start stirring. And I'm gonna need my phone for an alarm, so I'll talk to you in like 3 minutes. You wanna make sure it's stirred together really, really well. Frantically stir. Not so much that it's spilling out everywhere, but you definitely want to, not leisurely, you want to really blend it together. Vigorously blend this. All right, that is all nice and blended together. I'm gonna put the thermometer back in here, and once it falls to 135 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm gonna pour the wax into the containers. So I'll see you then. All right, the temperature is at 135. So now I'm gonna just get these containers filled up to that line that I drew. You wanna avoid pouring the wax directly on the wick. Kind of want to pour like on the sides. Where's my line? Okay, my line's there. All right, my 3 containers are full and I have a little extra wax. So I'm gonna just pour it into this ramekin that goes on top of one of those lights. Usually you'd use like wax melts, but I'm just gonna use my leftover wax. Right, so now I'm gonna let these candles set for 24 hours and then I will cut the wicks down. And that's that. Cool, well, thanks for hanging out, seeing how we make our candles. Go check out sozbazaar.com if you're interested in looking at all of our handmade goods. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.